Hello Aqua Clan, I have a really beautiful bokeh daisy for us today. I masked out the daisy with contact adhesive paper. Basically, I have a link for it in the description of the video, and just trace out your shape. You cut it out and you adhere the film to your paper. It works, I think, better than masking fluid. This is a temporary adhesive paper, it's called. And then for the stem, I just used a little bit of masking fluid to mask out the stem. So I'm creating this really gorgeous bokeh background. The reference photo I got from a Facebook group that has free reference photos. I'll tag that in the description of the video as well. The photos that are on Facebook are free to use for artists. So you could pick whatever daisy silhouette that you like and create this atmospheric background. So I'm using some purples and oranges and pinks to create this bright, cheery background. And while my paper is still wet, I'm using a sponge dauber. I just got these at Michael's. Unfortunately, Amazon doesn't sell these wooden ones, but there are some similar products that I will tag in the description below. So it is a two-layer background because I wanted the vibrancy of the colors to come through a bit more. So I added more of the deeper tones, those pops of purples, pinks, and warm oranges and yellows. So I like to use a combination of stencil rounds and pulling up pigment using a stiff brush, as well as the sponge daubers. So you could pull up as many circles as you would like, and you can vary the sizes. I also think that that's a nice effect. Now, once you're done with the background, you could remove your adhesive film and start on the daisy. I'm using cadmium yellow light, and I'm starting with the center of the flower, adding in burnt sienna and Van Dyke brown. And for the darkest parts, I'm using sepia. I'm using that same cadmium yellow light for my flower. So I'm working a few petals at a time, laying down my initial yellow wet on dry, and coming in with the warmer ISO yellow deep, along with some burnt sienna. So you could lift some highlights and you can make things darker with that burnt sienna. So I'm only working a few petals at a time so that it stays wet. So when you drop in your darker colors that they blend nicely with the yellow. And then of course you could also lift highlights at the same time. Plus, it's a lot less stressful when you just work in smaller areas, because if you did too many petals at once, you're kind of under the gun. It's a timing issue when you're working wet on wet, and who needs all that stress, right? So might as well just do a few at a time. This is a very fun, simple project. This project is about a half hour to 45 minutes. And it's just so satisfying and rewarding because it turned out so pretty. It's actually been really warm in Pennsylvania here in Pittsburgh, and I've already got some of my flowers starting to come up. Some of the perennials are already breaking through. All right, so once we're done with the flower, go ahead and remove your masking fluid on the stem and just paint that in. I'm using some sap green. Now, I did not adhere my temporary adhesive paper too well. I forgot to press down on the edges. So there's a couple of spots that the paint leaked through underneath. So I'm just kind of touching that up and blending it into the background a little bit better with a flat brush. You can sign your painting and you're done. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you give this daisy a try. It's a lot of fun, and I'll see you guys next time.